Hi, welcome to the John Gaunt podcast. Today, I say Jeremy Clarkson for Prime Minister. In fact, I almost say Jeremy Clarkson for world leader of the free world, even above Trump. Well, maybe not that far. But let's face it, the man's got charisma. He's got personality. He's in tune with the common man and woman in the street. He's funny, he's witty, and he's worth listening to. Can you put any of those attributes to our supreme leader who's never in the bloody country, is on a plane more often than Judith Chalmers, Keir Starmer? No, you can't. And you also get the idea with Clarkson, he would treat everybody the same. It would not be two-tier, where's me free gear, Keir, would it? I say Jeremy Clarkson for Prime Minister. I'm only half joking. When I was a columnist on The Sun as well, or when I was on Talk Radio, lots of people said, oh, John, you should be Prime Minister. My normal riposte was, I couldn't afford the wage cut. Well, I could now. But anyway, Clarkson, I think, would be the same. He doesn't want to be the Prime Minister, but I'm saying he's got the attributes, the skills, the talent, the charisma that perhaps we need. And when we look across the pond at Donald Trump, perhaps we need to do what Donald Trump is doing. He's bringing all the talents together, whether it's the super genius, the Einstein of our age, Elon Musk, through to people like Asim Malhotra, an expert, of course, on low-carb eating, which I believe in, or indeed you've got people like Kennedy Jr. It's a different world. Now, I know America use personality a lot more than we do, but where America go, we always follow. And let's face it, a personality like Clarkson couldn't do much worse than what's happened at the moment. Look at those succession of conservative idiots, including Liz Truss, the lettuce, Rishi Sunak, and now that woman whose name I can't even pronounce, Kemi. She couldn't even get in a photo call today at the farmers' protest. Did you watch that on telly? I'm 100% behind our farmers. And I thought the BBC today proved why they weren't fit for purpose. Victoria Derbyshire tried to interview and stitch up Clarkson, saying, oh, you only bought that farm to avoid death duties. And she had a quote of his from years ago. Well, he said, no, actually, what I really bought it for was I wanted to shoot pheasants. But I knew if I said that, people like you would be on my back even more than saying I was doing it to avoid death duties. What a great riposte. And I agree with him. When on earth did the BBC become the official mouthpiece of this lousy government? Well, the answer to that is, Jeremy, perhaps even when you were there. They've been like this for 20 or 30 years. I work for them. I know what it's like. There's a doctrine. They don't tell you what to say, but it's the culture. So Victoria cannot see out of the bounds of that culture. Jeremy Clarkson is a bully in her view. Jeremy Clarkson is a bit of a misogynist in her view. Jeremy Clarkson has got loads of money in her view. Well, it's a fact. And she's jealous of him. The fact that he's got the biggest watched program in the world doesn't even enter her tiny pea brain to think, well, he's obviously got an immense talent. I know Victoria. I worked with her. When I started in the BBC, at BBC CWR in Coventry, she was there and she was doing the afternoon show. She thought she was the dog's bollocks. She was rubbish, right? I was there for 4 weeks having a tryout, and then they gave me the breakfast show. She had a face like a smacked backside when it was announced because she thought it was hers. But I did her a favour because after that, she basically walked out in a huff. She went to Manchester to do the breakfast show there. I think 4 people and a dog used to listen with some geezer off Radio 4. But then, lucky for her, somebody went on pregnancy leave, maternity leave, and she got a gig doing the breakfast show. And then she got on Radio 5, and I'll give her a due. A few years after that, she worked with a woman who's extremely talented. Her name is Louisa Compton. Don't hold this against her. She's now head of Channel 4 News. But when I knew her, I was working in Luton. She used to answer the phones and literally make the tea for me. She was a lovely, lovely woman, and she still is today. And she has climbed up the greasy pole, no degree, no background really, just by sheer hard work. She now runs Channel 4 News. I don't know what she did in a past life to deserve that, but could you imagine trying to herd, it'd be like herding a bunch of politically correct cats into a sack and not being able to throw them into the canal, if you understand my metaphor. Lovely woman, though. She made Victoria Derbyshire the journalist she is today. But Victoria Derbyshire now thinks she's Laura, whatever her name is, Kuensberg, who, again, is redundant on the BBC. There's no point in watching her programme now. She has the same people on every week, not just the politicians, the people on the panel. There's nobody on there ever who's going to surprise you with an opinion. All those political shows are finished. I digress. Let's get back to Clarkson. So she was trying to stitch him up at the farmers' rally. He then went on stage and basically said, she's just tried to stitch me up, and took the proverbial hour. That's what he can do. He's just got this natural ability to speak and to talk and to get through to the masses. It's called charisma. It's called the X Factor. It's what Donald Trump has got. And also Clarkson, you see, he'd be a rock star politician, wouldn't he? Because he's known. I debated for about 10 minutes. Should I put Jeremy in the title, Jeremy Clarkson for PM? Or should I just put Clarkson? Because everybody knows who Clarkson is. And whether you like it or not, that's like Boris Johnson. It's like Barack Obama. You don't say, oh, Barack Obama. You say Obama. You say Boris, don't you? You don't say, well, you say Starmer, but you normally say Starmer wanker. You know what I'm trying to get at. He's a one-word politician, and Clarkson could be that. And I think Clarkson talks about things that ordinary people are interested in. This is why him getting involved in the farming campaign is so, so powerful. And today he knew not to berate the government. He said, I just want them to say, okay, we've maybe cocked this one up. We're going to look at it again. Because it isn't going to just affect the millionaires. That was the line that Victoria was trotting out. And she obviously got that line from that useless Chancellor of the Exchequer. You know the one who's lied on her CV. Sue me if you want, love. Lied on her CV. If you'd lied on your CV, do you think you'd keep your job? I asked my daughter this today. My daughter's very, very successful. I said, what would happen if you ever lied? She said, well, you'd just never get a job again. You'd effectively be listed. She didn't use the word blacklisted because she's very right on, but that's what she meant. You'd be blackballed. You'd never work again. Starmer's not even got the backbone. He's got the backbone of an amoeba or a blancmange. He's not even got the backbone to sack her. Mind you, he's away on holiday. Not holiday, sorry. Well, yeah, it is a holiday, really. He's creeping up the backside of the Chinese president. Why is he doing that? They've just arrested 40 of our ex-citizens in Hong Kong. Where's your human rights now, Kia? Two-tier Kia again. It's all right when it's the Chinese president, isn't it? But not when it's Putin. Because he still put the boot into Putin today. Because I'll tell you why he's doing that. He's going to give him those weapons, those long-distance missiles that Zelensky wants. And then we're going to be in World War III and you can kiss your ass goodbye. It's only 8 weeks. Yesterday it was 63 days. I'm going to have a countdown every day I do a podcast. 62 days to the glorious day when Donald Trump re-enters the White House with a crack team of people around him. And they're already panicking in DC. He's going to get rid of a load of them. Clarkson said, basically mirrored that today when she said, well, Victoria said, well, I've got to have money for the NHS. He said, I know about the NHS. I've just had a heart attack. That put her in a place. And then he said, I've just done me back in as well. Put her in a place. And then she said, well, where would the money come from? He said, go around any of these buildings here, Victoria. Any single building you want. He was in Whitehall in Westminster. He said, go up to somebody and ask them, a civil servant, what's your job? And if you don't understand their response, stack them. That's what he said, which is exactly what Elon Musk is going to do in DC. In the FBI, evidently, there's 7,000 people who have never left the bloody building. I'm not talking about people that are torturing. I'm talking about people who work there. It's fat. It's bloated. in DC. It's fat and it's bloated in this country. We could cut that right down and that would save us the money. But anyway, it's literally a spit. The amount of money they're going to raise from this death duty is nothing. It's not even worth spitting at. Why does she and Tutia Kia want to upset the farmers, the people who provide us with our food? Well, I'll tell you, there's two reasons. Reason number one is that Tutia has probably never been to the country. He represents an urban constituency. The Burke, who they put up for all the interviews today, Steve, whatever, he's forgettable. I don't know what his name is, Steve somebody. He represents a London urban constituency. Stupid Chancellor, Abacus Abbott, it's not Diane Abbott, but it may as well be. She can't add up, yeah? The one who can't even write her own CV correctly. She represents a constituency in Leeds, an urban constituency. And there's another one as well. Basically, we're going to have a government of all the talents, is what Starmer said. Yeah? No, he hasn't. He's got the same Islington cafe latte, skinny latte mob. Oh, let's all be liberals. Let's all be ultra liberal. Let's all wear Birkenstocks. Let's go skinny dipping. Let's go to Kefalonia. Let's have a lentil burger. You know, Starmer, I only found out this the other day. He doesn't drink and he's also a vegan. Two reasons never to trust the tosspot. I know that's a bit unfair on some vegans. I have met. No, I haven't. I was going to say I've met a nice vegan. I haven't. I've met nice people who don't drink. But I just think that's ludicrous. Ludicrous. How can you be the leader of the country, not eat meat and not drink? Huh? No wonder he hates farmers. So he knows nothing about the country. That's one reason he hates them. He also hates them because he thinks they're making money. He loves money. He doesn't say that to Lord Ali. He doesn't march into Lord Ali's house, kick the door in, a bit like the Sweeney. Ali, get your trousers on. You're nicked. Yeah, like Jack Regan, does he? He might say, Starmer, get your trousers on. I paid for them. Yeah, whatever. But he doesn't do that, does he? Ali's got loads of money. Why doesn't he target him? Or the super uber rich? Why is he going for small farmers? Because that is who he's going for. Yes, I know there's big farmers, and I've seen the list in the Daily Mirror of Lord this, Lord that, Lord the other, who own the countryside. Yeah, I know all that. But there's a hill farmer I was watching on what's she called, GB News. She's just a normal woman trying to earn a decent living. And Starmer, who's probably never had a proper job in his life. Well, he was in charge. I was going to say he ran. He was in charge. Well, was he in charge? He ran the CPS, although according to him, none of the big cases ever came over his desk. So what the fuck he was doing, I don't know. Oh, Jimmy Savile? No, I didn't do that one. Oh, right, okay. What about the rest of it? Oh, no. What did you do, Starmer? See, I reckon it could be, I don't think he's fiddled his CV, by the way, but it could be like her, couldn't it? She's fiddled her CV to make out she was an economist at the Bank of England, when actually she was a bit like Louisa Compton, now boss of Channel 4. She was making the tea, answering the phones, doing a few jobs like that. Now, the difference between her and Louisa Compton, my friend, who used to do my phones and make the tea and is now head honcho of Channel 4 News, boo, hiss, right? The difference is Louisa Compton's extremely talented and hasn't lied on her CV. She's probably done the opposite. She's made probably enough more of where she came from and what she's done. And good luck to her. Working class woman getting on. I'm all for that. I'm all for the meritocracy. I am not for this woman, though. Rachel Reeves. What do they call her? Rachel Thieves. Fiddling her CV. And then she thinks it's okay to take on people who every day get up and do a hard day's work. That's the difference. And that's why now I'm increasingly fed up. Don't get me wrong. None of this is an advert for you to vote for Tories or indeed Reform. I don't think there's any party out there who can really represent us. But I do think Clarkson, and he'll never do it. And so in a way, this is a flight of fancy. But imagine him, right, as Prime Minister. Well, I don't know if he smokes anymore after the heart attack, but he's a smoker, tick. A lot of people would like that. He likes driving fast cars. He likes attractive women, right? He likes eating meat, although I think since the heart attack, they've told him not to. Make no difference, Jeremy. Eat red meat. It's not the meat that kills you. It's not the burger that kills you. It's the bun. It's the bread. It's the sugar. But he's a bloke, isn't he? And people like blokes. And you're probably thinking, oh, yeah, well, you're bound to say that, John. You're a bit of a rough diamond. You're a bit of a bloke. You're a bit of a geezer. But women loved Jeremy Clarkson. Top Gear was immensely successful with women as well as men because it wasn't a program about cars, really, was it? It was about their friendship. The Grand Tour, I didn't really get into that, if I'm honest. But this farming program, well, it's been inspirational, hasn't it? Clarkson's Farm. And the way he's highlighted the problems of living in the countryside, no one has ever done it like that. And that's why, in a way, he's the de facto leader of the farming campaign. And if anything, that's why they're going to win. There will be a screaming U-turn once he comes back from his freebie holiday, Starmer, sucking up to the Chinese president. They'll do a U-turn worthy of Stig in Top Gear. This isn't going to go carry on because the farmers will just up the protest. Oh, and did you notice something? That was the other thing. There were some commentators on the BBC saying, oh, well, it's not on really, is it? Because everyone moans and complains when Stop Oil glue themselves to the pavement or they disrupt the traffic. And now these same people are disrupting London. Well, not really, because they asked, could they have a demo? The police said yes. They did it. They cleaned up after themselves. They're cleaning up as I speak. And also, they didn't do anything they shouldn't do. They just kept in the places they were. There were no riots. I mean, what could you even say that about Tommy Robinson's protest? Well, you could if you wanted to go to prison. But you see where I'm coming from. Starmer's got it all wrong. He's got the Midas touch in reverse. Do you know what I mean by that? You know, King Midas, everything he touched turned to gold, yeah? Everything he touched turned to gold. Starmer got it in reverse. Everything he touches turns to a crock of SH1T. The man is a walking disaster. We'd be better off having Frank Spencer or Ricky Gervais in the office as Prime Minister rather than Starmer. But imagine if it was Jeremy Clarkson. Somebody who wouldn't suffer fools. He'd just say, no, that's not what I'm doing. I want to do it like this. A bit like Trump. Again, this is a flight of fancy. But wouldn't it be better? Don't people love the lovable rogue? Some people, a lot of women in fact, even love the bastard. Look at the success of characters like Dirty Den in EastEnders. I know he's a fictional character, but you understand where I'm coming from here, don't you? Or Heathcliff. There we are. A literary allusion with Gaunty. Whatever next? But this is what we want, isn't it? A leader who's real. Faults and all. People sometimes say to me, you know, what do you put down your success, and indeed now your failure, on radio to? Well, I used to put it down to the fact Andy Wright, who gave me my first ever job, said to me, just say the first thing that comes into your head and then keep saying it. And he's right. And if you make a mistake, don't go, oh, I'll redo that bit. Can we read? Oh, stop, let me take that again. Just carry on. Or say, oh, I'm an idiot. Look at that. I'm wearing these teeth in for Shergar. Whatever. That's the secret. That's the secret. That's the secret of my failure as well. Because I am this rough-hewn radio presenter, talk presenter, where the management behind the glass, like guppies in an aquarium. What's he going to say next? And they're so bothered worrying about that, they start swallowing the tank. Unfortunately, they don't die, right? Radio managers, apart from the man I just mentioned, Andy Wright, most of them are absolute dickheads. The same with the people who run these TV stations. They haven't got a clue. If they had a clue, they'd have their own show. They'd be a presenter. Who wants to be an administrator? Who wants to be a manager in the media looking after lunatics like me? See what I mean? They're promoted to their. I'm going to talk about this much more. I'm doing a whole podcast about this at BBC, but they're promoted to the level of mediocrity, right? And that's why they hate people like Clarkson, and dare I say, even me on a smaller level. And they hated Terry Wogan. Terry Wogan used to be coming out of the lift in Broadcasting House as his intro jingle was playing. He didn't need to prepare. He might have a chat on the phone in the chauffeur-driven car, which, by the way, he owned the company, as he was coming to the BBC. But then he'd just get on and he'd just talk. He could just talk. And that's the problem. And that's the problem now with most phone-in, well, all phone-in radio. They can't talk. It's all heavily scripted and it's heavily produced. And people are in their ear all the time. They don't trust the presenters. That's because most of them haven't got a brain cell. Or they're so far up their own ideological backside, like, what's his name, O'Brien, right? He can't think outside the box. It can't possibly ever enter his head that the Israeli could be a nice bloke, etc., etc. I'm digressing. But what you get with Jeremy Clarkson is authenticity. And I think that's what we want. I think we want somebody who's authentic, who says, yeah, I'm a bit of a bastard sometimes. I'm not really a nice guy. I'm this, I'm that, I'm the other. But I think I've got some good ideas. Jeremy Clarkson had that idea of saying, forget about national service. Let's get all our young people to work on a farm for a year. Now, his motive may have been to get cheap labour. I don't know. Just like his motive may have been to escape the inheritance tax. Well, I don't blame him doing that. It's an unfair tax. However, if we got young people to work on a farm for a year, would that not be good for them? Would they not learn discipline? It would be an outdoor life. They'd be learning new skills. They'd learn about their place in society. They'd learn about animals. They'd learn about being kind to animals. Wouldn't that be a good thing, you liberal tossers, you Guardian reading lefty buck and stop wearing lentil burger, eating tosspots? Just an idea. Why don't you open your brain to different views, different ideas? Then you wouldn't have the situation where you can't possibly contemplate why Trump has got into power. And why Emily Maitlis, I was watching her today, and John Soft-Sopal, whatever his name is, talking on their little pod. Well, it's not a little podcast. Millions of people watching. Why do you watch that crap and not me? When are they going to ever say anything that might surprise you? Anyway, they were going on about the farming dispute. And they just can't get it, just like they can't get Trump winning. Well, Emily, take that look of a smacked arse off your face, love. It's over. He's won. The world's changing. And in 62 days, we won't be in World War III if he's in power. He'll do a peace deal. Then he'll get talking to the terrorists and the Israelis and hopefully come up with a solution there. Just remember one thing before you slag me off, everyone. There were no wars when Donald Trump was in power last time. And I think he's matured. I think he's got more sensible people around him. And I think he's going to be a raging success. And I think Jeremy Clarkson could be. And when I talk about him with young people, look at the way young Caleb. Now, Caleb has got his own charisma, his own personality. But look how he brought that lad on. He never left Chipping Norton or Chipping Camden or whatever godforsaken place it is he lives in. And look at his worldly wise wisdom. Look how he's become a TV star. He's even doing a one-man tour. Good luck to him. It's because of Clarkson and his influence. We need people like that in public life. That's what we need. And I'll tell you what we do need. We need less Keir Starmers and certainly less of that Bridget Phillipson who was on the telly yesterday, the education minister. Her and the other one I've been talking about today, they've just got to go. They've got to go to that dustbin, which is marked history. Yeah? Why? How can they be in charge? How can you have a woman in charge of the country's money, effectively, who's lied on her CV? Oh, yeah, I was an economist. No, you weren't. You were handing out the paper clips. You were handing out the paper. You were doing probably a bit more than that, but not much more. I've seen people's CVs, right, who say, oh, yeah, I work with that John Gaunt, and people's ears prick up. Oh, well, they used to. They won't do anymore because no one knows who I am now. But they would have gone, what, John Gaunt, what's he like? Is he a bastard like he is on air? What's he like? And it gives them a talking point. And when they say they've worked for me, what they mean is they answered the phones for me for a week. Important job, but if you've only done it for a week, it's not really that important to my success, is it? I've had that loads of times. I met some woman on Twitter came on slagging me off. Oh, you haven't changed since I worked with you at Luton. I was at Luton for 5 years, so I was racking my brains thinking, who is this woman? So then I just wrote back to her. I said, who are you? She said, no, I answered your phones 1 week. 1 week? How can you pass judgment on me in a week? In a week? That's what's wrong with Britain as well. The fact that we'd make these snap judgments on people. I did a bit of therapy after I'd had me sepsis because I was so down, right? And one of the things the therapist said to me was, never judge somebody on your first meeting. And I thought, oh, God, that's no good, because that's what I do all the time, or used to do. She said, no, you need to just meet them a few times. And then by not making your mind up on the first occasion, you're open to see other things within them that you might like or you might not like even more. I thought that was a great piece of advice. How about that? You're getting therapy with Gaunty now. Have you donated, by the way? I'm sorry to be so blunt, but a lot of you now are really enjoying it. And on YouTube, the figures are going, woo! And they are on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you so much for making it successful. But lots of you have contributed. Some haven't. Now, you're not obliged to pay. It's not like Victoria Derbyshire at the BBC. You don't have to pay to watch or listen, but it would help if you did, even if it was just a $5. Why don't you help me out? Simple. Go to www.buymeacoffee.com/John Gaunt. There you are. You wouldn't get that on the BBC. I'm being direct with you. I haven't got any other income. This is how I'm supporting myself at the moment. I will get sponsors and I will get advertisers soon, especially when we get up to that magical. YouTube's got this thing that you have to get, I think, 1,000 subscribers. Well, I've easily got that already. But then you have to get so many viewing hours. I think it's 400 or something. 4,000. Well, that's going to take forever unless you lot keep watching it and then turn it on and watching it again or whatever. Tell your mates, start watching Gaunty on YouTube. You can listen to it on the podcast. That's fine. But if you watch it on YouTube, that'd be really good. And if you then could press the subscribe button, and if you could also then share it with other people, help me out. Come on. And if you go to buymeacoffee.com, you could donate anything from a $5 upwards. Some people have donated loads, and I want to thank them as well. I've got some names here to read out. Let me just do that, and then we can move on. Mocha Lounge, my favourite coffee bar. Andy George, Mark Leaves, Gary Munnery, Luca, Ziggy, Lily the Cat. She's done it loads of times. Thank you, Lily. David Griffin, Grant the Cabbie. What's his name? Roitzek, thank you. Ben the Ram Roberts, Matthew Stratford, Elaine Izzo, Leslie Clark, Tony Pycroft, Alan Fox, Kevin Cunning. He came in again today with another 15, another 3 coffees. Thank you very much indeed, Kevin. John Pete, Meet Cleaver, then a few anonymous ones. Don't forget you can do it anonymously if you want. Window Clean Sim, thank you for that. Lord Wayne Bass, thank you for that one as well. Bert Routledge, he keeps coming in. He's a good lad. Essex Steve, John Godley, Boise, Mark Randall, good friend of mine, good singer, actually, great singer. Ian Rice. So thank you to all of them. There's loads more, but I can't read them all out every show because it would get a bit boring. So I apologize. But every contribution you make is really valued. Well, that's me done. I hope you enjoyed it. What I was trying to do today was talk about Jeremy Clarkson. Let's get people like Clarkson in politics. Let's get rid of that woman, the Chancellor. I've even forgotten her name. I'll be straight with you. I did have it written on my phone. What's her name? You know the one I'm talking about. Oh, Rachel Thieves. She's got to go. She lied. She's got to go. And two-tier here, if he ever comes back from his world trips, right, he's collecting air miles like Judith Chalmers on speed, like I said yesterday. He needs to get a grip, doesn't he? He's the most unpopular Prime Minister ever. And the rest of the cabinet, Ed Miliband, £28 billion on carbon capture. And this thing about there's a big, black hole. 9 billion of that black hole is the money you gave to the public services, which I'm not even arguing with. But don't make out it was all left by Labour, because that's a lie, isn't it? Anyway, that's enough. That's the thoughts of Chairman Gaunt. Gaunty for PM. No, thank you. I can afford the wage group, but no thanks. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to watch it also on YouTube, even if you just listen to it already on Twitter or whatever, on Apple. You can find it on YouTube. John Gaunt TV. John Gaunt TV is what you're looking for. Until we speak again, if you've got kids, give them a kiss, give them a hug. Hey, hey, hey. Don't forget to tell them you love them. See ya.